underway, and Undying coming out as a pick for Empire has slipped through now and then throughout the day, but this time turning out to be a first pick.
Not entirely unsurprising to see Queen of Pain again picked up first for EG. And again, the Disruptor ban out as well. I do like the Undying on Empire, though. It might force them more to fight. It doesn't allow them to try and be passive or to try and play for late game, so to speak, as they did last game in the end. So maybe this is the push they need to get that ball rolling.
I was actually, your exact choice of words is what I was thinking. This will, they're forcing themselves to fight. Is what it seems like. Undying Bloodseeker first. Like, you can't really just get too comfortable with just sitting back and letting the game just play out, right? So I don't know if they felt like there was a puzzle piece missing in the last game to being able to push. In my opinion, there wasn't. I think they had a really good hero composition and they got the start they needed. But maybe just for the sake of their own confidence, just making it even more obvious how the lineup needs to be played for them, and just really, in my opinion, going back to their roots. I think one of the heroes that really brought Empire to the top of Western Dota was Undying. They are exceptionally good at playing around this hero. It really sets the tone of the fights very early in the game.
Why not Bounty Hunter for
and instead of Bloodseeker? Or?
Instead of either of those. I think probably Bloodseeker I would.
That's a good question, Ben. Why not?
Do you have an answer, Ben?
Maybe they want to have the silence for Queen of Pain. I mean,
yeah,
it's very unreliable, though.
It is, and Rupture's not
Rupture,
that great against either of those heroes. I think Bloodseeker has been very hit or miss. I would venture to say the win rate is probably a little bit below 50%, but I don't think it's a hero that you can pick in the first phase. Especially, it kind of forces you to fight, but some people try and take it late game with like BKB and SNY, and I think it does scale decently, but I think that Bounty Hunter is much better for
Is there a slight difference in attitude, though, when you're playing Bounty Hunter and Bloodseeker, as in Bounty Hunter definitely more geared towards just getting those early game picks, whereas Bloodseeker, like even throughout the late game, you're just looking to fight and run in alongside your teammates, or even alone?
I think more for Empire right now, to be honest, is the thing is they've tried Bloodseeker, or sorry, they've tried a Bounty Hunter, I think, a couple of times, and maybe they just feel like it wasn't successful enough. So it's not that it's a bad pick. It's okay against Queen of Pain. You know, neither Undying nor Bounty Hunter really has a way of running down and killing Quap, which Bloodseeker has. So maybe that's the idea, that we have a way of actually not letting her reset 2 or 3 times to come in with Blink Screen, but we actually really finish the job in the fight.
It also could be because EG could just respond with the Spirit Breaker pick, and they showed that they were very good at handling yesterday.
Yes. And Bloodseeker's good in turn against that hero as well. So that might be what they were considering. Now, speaking of those two heroes, they've actually been banned, both of them, but by the opposite team, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, Bounty Hunter by Empire, Spirit Breaker by EG. And Storm this time, just go through it. And as you were mentioning, Ben, I mean, Storm also pretty darn good against Bloodseeker. And of course, Storm, we saw that earlier today. Nothing to scoff at.
I'm kind of surprised to see them picking Queen of Pain and Storm in the first 2 picks, because it gives a few a lot of way about what they're planning on doing, and perhaps allows Empire to counter them a bit more.
At the same time, I think these two heroes play very well against Empire, who need to fight early and want to fight early. If they have Queen of Pain and Storm Spirit, they can just disengage and run away from the Tombstone, and then just... I mean, without Tombstone, you really don't want to push a tower for at least 1 more minute. So I think that they're looking for heroes that can disengage, especially when they're really disable light.
Now, with the Lina pick, I mean, Empire, sounds like they're really just kind of forcing themselves into their last 2 picks, where they need also more setup to continue with these fights. What do you guys think about that?
Setup is definitely needed here. Lina can, to an extent, take care of it herself by getting Yules, but it's not enough, and it's not reliable enough, especially because when you look at EG, the 2 heroes they have, what they can choose to do is, both of them, or at least one of them, can get an Orchid if they want to. I would expect EG in this particular game to get an Orchid in either of them. It's a great counterplay to Lina. If she Yules someone and wants to go for the kill, both of them can very easily like access her with an Orchid, with either Blink Orchid or Ball Lightning Orchid, and just shut her down very nicely. They also have the Shaker now, a defensive support too. Once again, you can do kind of the same thing. Try to go for the kills, try to go for the fight. You just block them off and just buy time. What I'm worried about for Empire, we've obviously only seen 3 picks right now. If you saw the shot of them, Resolution looked pretty frustrated the way he was sitting back. I don't think they're in high spirits, which is to be expected, but they seem perhaps a little more annoyed by this than maybe they should be. So I'm worried that they will just be like, screw it, we're going all in on fighting, and then they lose sight of, again, the big picture, ending the game. They could end up in a similar situation to what we've seen MVP Hot Six in a couple of games, where they pick like ridiculous amounts of spell burst in early game, and then even should they play that early game well, it's not about the kill score. It's about finishing.
But I think at least even if they win the early game, let's say, and then lose out in the late game, I think it will be better for their spirits. It's like, oh, okay, at least we had a really good start and we had a good chance, as opposed to last game where it just felt like everything was slowly crumbling and ending for them. I mean, morale is going to be important for Team Empire, probably far more so than for other teams, and at least getting off to a good start and be like, oh, okay, we can do this, guys. We're up ahead by 10 kills. We're pushing down towers. I think that can do a lot for them.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, you mentioned it half earlier. You didn't want to call them emotional players, but I mean, they kind of are. They're also fairly young players as well. And I think if they have a good early game, yeah, they'll do a lot better. Even if they might not end up winning, I think that will be good for games to come, because for them, I think this game's, I mean, for them, still a chance to get in top 4, right? Yeah.
Technically, yes.
Technically, yeah. So they got to keep that momentum going if they can find it first, of course.
What I'm interested in is, so one thing that's obviously very easy for us from a spectator standpoint every single time we cast a game or observe a game or whatnot is to see where the game is going, right? Because we have graphs that are, we can check the graphs, we can see the farm values. Maybe Empire is the kind of team that when they analyze the game and they look at it, they maybe sometimes read too much into the kill score. And in the last game, maybe they felt like, so if they could see the graphs, if they could see the items and the farm values and what actually was there, imagine they could like pause the game and look at everything for 2 minutes. I think they would have played the game very differently. But their feeling in the game of where it's going might have been very different from how it actually was. And perhaps they are a very momentum-driven team. So if they get ahead on kills, they might really start playing like they're ahead. Whereas if they have like this kind of slow early game, even if they take towers, in the last game, once again, I didn't really feel like they never played like a team that was trying to win.
Okay.
So.
Or a team that knew they were ahead in that case.
Right.
And the thing is, they weren't technically very much ahead on the graphs, but I feel like in terms of game impact, they had like 5 minutes where they could have just dominated the whole map if they realized it. So.
Makes sense.
Who knows?
Now, Shadow Demon coming out in some time, and the Bane too. I mean, we've seen Bane banned a lot today. Not picked as much, of course, due to being banned out, but being picked for Empire. So I was a little concerned. I was wondering if Dazzle was going to be another concern for Empire. Maybe they'll fall into that trap of picking that Dazzle again, not have any setup for their teammates, but picking that Bane instead of the Dazzle.
How big is the chance of, and don't crush my hopes instantly here, for Bane Mirana?
Non-existent.
Oh.
No.
Damn. Really was,
It could actually happen. I mean, once again, if their idea is we're really just looking to fight now and we want to gank really early and put pressure on the map, they could play on Dying as core, Bloodseeker's core, and Lina as core. So that is entirely possible.
It's too risky versus EG's lineup. The way they drafted is like versus Earthshaker and Shadow Demon, you can't commit on one hero.
At
you have
the same
to
time,
go through AoE.
If you have a Shadow Demon that's putting a defensive disruption on, you can use that also as a setup for an arrow. I
do like the concept. It's just EG's game plan, I would say, when they had the Sand King. It's like, okay, we're going to, farm up, play defensively, and if we have to hold, we have the heroes to do it. Like Earthshaker with Fissure, Shadow Poison with his, with his Shadow Poison, and then, like, the Queen of Pain and Storm Spirit are just very good at split pushing and pressuring the enemy to either, stop the push or, commit too heavily and go too deep, which I think Empire might be a little bit prone to in this particular situation, or all in on a hero, like Rupture plus Grip plus Laguna Blade, which Earthshaker, again, Shadow Demon are really good at defending against.
I really like this ban from EG. This was the pick that came to mind for me that Empire could have gone for to try to knock down some towers and take advantage of their Undying. Early mech carrier, hits hard on towers with Nether Toxin, and just peaks very early together with the rest of the lineup. I think Viper would have been a really good pick for them, and then play the Lina on support. It's not available now. It's also, in my opinion, a good pick for Resolution. It's a good matchup against Quab, it's a good matchup against Storm, and Resolution is really good at playing lane. So they could have definitely gone for that. Instead, they're going to go for Dragon Knight. This is another alternative way of forcing yourself to knock down towers. Good with Tombstone. You drop the Tombstone, you go in and hit the tower, and it's on the enemy team to engage into you, where they're engaging into Tombstone Bloodright, which is pretty difficult to do. So I think this is a solid pick. They need to be careful that it doesn't end up like last game though, where Resolution gets first blooded really early in lane. They cannot afford to have that happen.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot. I was thinking something like Pugna, perhaps, but you want the team to have to fight into Tombstone. If you don't have something to hold them in place, like Dream Coil or anything like that, then I think just killing their towers is one of the best ways. And again, I think they're pushing themselves into this sort of mentality where we have one of the best lineups at taking down towers and 5-manning. And if the opponent teams fights into us, they're going to lose a fight. So again, it's more of that like kind of pick and roll lineup from EG, delay until your timing is right and slow down their tower pushes. And one way they can do that is winning the lanes really hard.
All right, well, clock rounding out the draft here for Evil Geniuses. So both teams now with the finalized draft, I mean, just on Empire side, you guys seem pretty content, at least just that they've changed things up a little. They've forced themselves to really focus on that objective of focus on the objectives in game, excuse me. But for EG, how is their draft looking in comparison?
They have, I think especially the Shadow Demon could actually turn out to be a really big pick in this game. It's a great counter to Bane. It's a great counter to Dragon Tail. It's even a great counter to Lina's combo. Like, they have a lot of ways of disrupting the fights. I think that's also the idea of their last pick, Clockwork. It's just they want to try to play split push and pickoffs, and then should it come to a fight, it's all about just trying to single out targets and just counterplay the opponent. And Universe in this game, I think, has a very, very important role on the clock, because when it comes to defending the towers, his hookshot is their primary initiation. They also have a Storm Spirit, but a Storm against Dragon Knight, when he wants to push towers, say at minute 15, you can't just initiate blindly into this Radiant team. You're just going to get blown up. So Universe can maybe take the first couple of stuns, get disrupted, and then they can play from there.
All right, well, Team Empire, ladies and gentlemen, looking for one extra point just to fight for that chance to be in the top 4 of Group B. The last game of the day, let's jump right into it.
Getting into the game right now, EG versus Empire, final game of the day. It's been a long one, folks. Empire kind of disappointing to me. Like, their results are sort of average, and I don't expect that out of this team, right?
I mean, it depends on whether or not you take the previous performances of Empire at a TI
No,
as a sign.
I don't take that.
I did not take that, and
Look what happened. Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Maybe it's a nerves thing.
Still, though, I mean, Empire looked good in the first 15 minutes of that game 1. And they've got a draft. I actually really kind of like their draft. I feel like it's forced Evil Geniuses into something.
Is EG going to fight this? They have so many bad level 1 heroes.
Yeah, I was about to say, they're dealing with an Undying. Attempted Fissure Block to prevent these heroes from being able to get to the bounty room, but that's not going to happen. I think they just kind of assumed that the aggression was going to come out from Empire in the top lane.
Yeah, and this is
So
actually,
they would just naturally go for the one hero pickoff at bottom.
this is going to be hard for Sumail, because he has to run all the way. Oh, no. He's going to run into Aloha Dance, too, who's just going to right-click him. And if he's forced to use a Remnant here, it's not even going to hit. They're just going to right-click him, and they're zoning him out of this.
Resolution is actually joining them. They
What's
really want to
going
fight this
on?
one. Oh, this is really weird, but Sumail's actually kind of stuck inside the pit. They managed to get the sleep onto Fear. They're just going to right-click down Sumail, and they get the first blood. Aloha Dance turns around, goes for the decay. Last couple of right-clicks on
he's just fighting.
Fear. Yeah. Aloha Dance, he's going to try and go into the Roshan pit to deny himself, but those poison will actually finish him off. Farther down, always want to fly, chased away by PPD. What an awkward engagement. Silence now coming down. He's going to try and catch PPD as well. They have a sleep, always want to fly. He'll get in range eventually. He's much faster, or 5-min boot speed faster than PPD.
This is such an awkward engagement. They might actually just kill PPD, though, by the virtue of right-clicks. And
Yeah,
doing
PPD
so.
doesn't have mana for a Fissure, so as long as they kind of stay in range of him, he's going to go for the deny on the neutrals. Light strike array, and the right clicks. They get a secondary kill now. Ah, that was weird. That was very weird. But that was just because they chose to go for that kind of aggressive pick-off play at bottom.
is this a support Silent? And to carry Bloodseeker being played by Yoki, though, and an offlane Aloha Dance? Everything is just messing with my head.
Yeah, they've got 5 stacks of Shadow Poison on the Bloodseeker. They got to be really careful with his positioning. They're still trying to go on AUI. There goes the poison. Almost pops Yoki in the background there. In fact, Fear blinks forward and will be able to get a couple more right
Poor
clicks.
man shield.
Yoki, poor man shield once. Yeah, he's got it. He's good. Silent. He went down. AUI is still alive. All right. So we have a very weird situation here where Silent, he's still going to be playing a core Lina, it seems.
Is he though? I mean,
I don't know.
Okay, so Yoki's going to the jungle. A lot of things. Okay, and AUI just suicides to Roshan. That's the Lampercat strategy. I've used all my mana. I've got enough money for everything. Suicide.
So they're going very greedy, essentially. Like, jungling Bloodseeker is a greedy 4. They've got an off-lane Undying faced up against Universe. Pretty favorable for the Undying.
Have you played that matchup before? I don't actually know.
I have played that matchup. You have to use Cogs a lot to burn through the Undying. Because you're a strength hero versus strength hero matchup. Like, naturally, Decay just gives you an advantage.
Yeah, this is so weird, though. I'm not used to seeing any of the setups that they currently have. They finally rotate Yoki out of that bottom lane and into top, so I'm not quite sure what the original plan was there, but it looks like PPD is heading mid, but...
Okay, so the original plan was a dual lane of Bloodseeker Undying, I think. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And then they run a Bane-Lina duo, which obviously has a lot of kill power.
Yeah, but things just kind of went
Got
wonky,
crazy.
I guess, with the first...
Yeah. That was very weird. PPD is trying to set up for a kill on Resolution right now, but he just brought his bottle in. Plus, he's got 10 Magic Wand charges. This is two different heroes that went for super early Magic Wands. I'm not sure if just because we had a lot of fighting early on and they were able to go back to base and finish up the Magic Wand, but Resolution as well as Silent. Like, not just the Magic Stick, the full completed Magic Wand.
I think it's fine. You're eventually going to do that anyways.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good lead going into this matchup just because he got the first blood, I believe. So going for it is not bad at all.
No, it's just rather unique is the interesting thing.
The CS is kind of my issue right now because Sumail doesn't get slowed down by this that much because he got the kill. I think net worth, the Dragon Knight leads because of the first blood and the bounty rune that he got and Sumail was unable to, but the overall lane, Sumail's doing just fine.
Aloha Dance actually going to come in for the Tombstone. They need to be able to get in range for the Dragon Tail. They will. Now the DK and the Tombstone start stacking up. Sumail actually keeps himself alive a little bit longer via his bottle. It still needs a couple more right clicks out. So a Resolution comes forward with Wreath Fire, managing to finish off the hero. And AUI can't actually contest any further. If anything, Resolution's going to go for the kill because he has another Dragon Tail with Aloha Dance coming in. Double kill for Resolution. And Empire striking back hard here in game number 2.
And all of a sudden, Resolution 6, and he's
Oh my goodness.
almost taking a tower. This isn't even like a real... Like, something has happened where everybody just decided to play this game completely different than they typically do. Like, AUI coming in there at the end. Resolution all of a sudden, despite struggling really hard in the lane when it came to CS, is very much on top of the net worth charts. And it's hard to analyze what's going on because it's just so back and forth.
So much action. Bit of harassment there from the Fisher. Bottom lane, meanwhile, Silent is playing. Yeah, Fear is a Queen of Pain versus a Bane-Lina combination. Like, this is incredibly dangerous. The Shadow Demon can't even do that much because you Bane sleep, you set it for the Light Strike Array. What happens if you fake out the Light Strike Array and he accidentally disrupts? Then you're actually just setting up the Lina again for a Light Striker. Oh, hook shot actually catching Aloha Dance. That's not the hero. A two-man Decay with the Tombstone over the top. Universe desperately trying to get away from this one. Aloha Dance should be fine. The Tombstone starts chasing away all of these heroes.
There's 4 EG heroes mid right now.
4
and we're
heroes
unable
mid,
to do
and they
anything.
couldn't actually win the fight.
Yeah, that's the power of Aloha Dance, playing that Undying. Just getting multiple stacks of Decay and just securing that Resolution has a good start, who's been untouched most of this game. And Sumail is struggling right now. He does have 32 CS, but those 2 deaths are really setting him far behind. And Resolution is 3-0 already, and this is not the type of player that you want to give this confidence boost to.
Still waiting for the pickoff here in bottom lane. It's got to come soon. Silent has his level 6 coming in. Because again, I'm just wait, like AUI is staying very far back, and I'm sure that like the first attempt they go for the sleep and the Light Strike Array, like the disruption will successfully dodge. But eventually, there's like Empire gonna learn. There's gonna be that mind game.
Yeah, Fear has to be careful at top. The Bloodseeker, because he's been left alone, he has 44 CS. And he was in the off lane. He's doing so well right now. Fear is not doing nearly as well. He's quite far behind when it comes to levels and farm. I don't even know if PPD can defend him here if he misblinks. And this is going to mean that because PPD has to be at top in case the Bloodseeker goes there, because if PPD shows himself mid, I think that he just runs at Fear at top, right? And then they manage to get the kill. He's actually going to go for it, but Fear smartly brings himself a TP and doesn't overcommit for anything. He did that thing you were talking about too.
The blink way, instant move. Yoki is going to be caught here by Universe. Good rotation out from EG. They gave up the middle tower, but they got the deny on it, and they also managed to kill the Bloodseeker, slowing down his very important farm.
Yeah, he still has a pretty absurd amount of farm though, and now the time has passed where EG can safely kill the Dragon Knight. He's got 1,000 gold if he wants to. He could one creep away from being able to pick up his Ogre Club, and that would make him virtually unstoppable. And it looks like
What about Shadowblade here for this game?
that's what I was thinking. Just because
Nice.
of how early he would get it,
Yeah.
it would create so much discomfort for EG.
And it's incredibly strong versus the intelligence cores, these very mobile heroes who are dependent on their blinks.
Yes, I completely agree with that assessment, actually. I think that it would do a lot of work, but I don't know if he will do it. It's not the safest option.
It's a little bit risky. What about do you like the Glimmer Cape build? Glimmer Cape, break it apart, then go for the Shadowblade.
I think it's okay, but I just like the Shadowblade first if you're going to do that.
Oh.
It does make you incredibly tanky, though. And it's a bit
And it does give
weird.
you the invis factor a lot earlier.
Yeah, but I mean,
Speaking of invis factor, Universe is coming in with a smoke. It's actually been slept up. No one's going to try and force that, though. At least I don't think so. PPD and AEY positioned very defensively.
Resolution's coming in with an Invis rune, though, and EG, I think they know that this is coming because they had a ward, but AEY has to be really careful.
They've got Elder Dragon form. Even if he's right in front of that tier 1 tower, Resolution could just pop the Dragon form for the long-range stun.
Oh, PPD thought that he was going to go around.
Yeah, PPD gets caught, and good disruption save, but he's still PPD in a bad position. As we were talking about earlier, the disruption almost sets up the Light Strike array in a lot of situations. Universe is thinking about a hook shot there earlier, but it's just too much. Can't fight into the Undying, and another tower will end up falling. So AY going to go for the deny, not a chance.
Empire are actually getting really farmed as a result of all these pushes. They've done good in the laning phase. They pretty much dominate the top 3 net worths. And it's not even very close, actually. If you
Yeah, the
look
Storm
at it.
Spirit, he's got second in CS, but he's still so far behind, even Lina.
If Empire decide to continue to push for this too, EG is going to be hard pressed to fend them off because they just don't have the levels right now.
Yoki moves over. He's going to have his Hand of Midas soon with the amount of farm that they're picking up. Samael, second regeneration rune for him. He's getting rather lucky in that regard.
Hand of Midas and 100 gold. And he should be able to snowball heavily over the clockwork. This is not the Sumail that we've seen the last 3 or 4 games where he just had such a great start in the laning phase. That first blood and then the subsequent kills really seem to have just messed with his internal timings.
Fear's trying to make a recovery at the top lane. What's he going for? Oh, that's actually just a magic wand he's completing. It's not even a real item. Empire going to go for the top lane push, it looks like now. Resolution's got another Elder Dragon form in 15 seconds. They seem to be very clean on their timings here. First Dragon form, taking the tier 1 middle, then bottom, then top. Very clear rinse and repeat.
All week long, we've actually seen the smoke into try to pick off the safe laner and then go for the push.
Yep.
But Empire is so comfortable with their lead. They don't even have to know what the net worth chart looks like to know that they're in the lead, right? And so they're going to feel incredibly comfortable with this. And a Blink Dagger.
I love this. I mean, the Shadowblade is an interesting choice, but this Blink Dagger, I think, gives him so many more opportunities early. PPD, yep, the Blink Dagger comes in, stops PPD from being able to TP away. Quick pick off there. Resolution's popped his ultimate, and they start heading up to the top lane.
This is punishing. This means that nobody can be out of position for EG because he can pretty much throw the stun out and then they can one-tap. And this is so much more reliable than the Shadowblade too. Like this initiation, you can't really misjudge the range. You have to stay so far back if you're EG.
Evil Geniuses, all they can really do. AUI is pushing out that bottom lane. I really question, though, again, if he was that greedy 4 position, you would say, okay, it's a trade-off, blah, 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 but how much is the Shadow Demon really going to give you? He does have the maxed out Shadow Poison, so that it conceivably can be a very big factor, especially with the increase to 5 stacks of Shadow Poison being possible. It's just very unlikely.
Yeah, it's more that it just kind of feels underwhelming to give that amount of farm and that amount of space to that
3-man
hero.
smoke, but they run into Aloha Dance immediately. They will be able to get the Light Strike Array and try and blow up Universe. They didn't actually get off the Tombstone, and Universe TPing out. Oh, God, he almost made it out, but the last right click is there from Silent in time. Now Fear comes forward with his double damage. Silent, he does have a TP. AUI has the disruption as well. PPD's coming in with a Fissure. TP out from the Bloodseeker. That gets out. I think they'll just be so happy if only the Bloodseeker escapes. That's fine.
Oh,
Bane,
and Silent might even get out of this.
Sleep wakes him up, and there goes the Sonic Wave. Now a long jump over from Sumail. Always want to fly, though. Is far enough ahead. He will be fine.
EG are going to be really dissatisfied with only getting
The fact
Lina.
that level 11 Bloodseeker escaped was a huge loss of experience for EG.
Empire get away relatively unscathed. They did lose the Undying, but they got the Clockwork in return. And the fact that they committed so heavily for that many heroes at that top lane makes this... Obviously, it's good for them because they kill Alina, but it does mean that Resolution just continues to farm during that time. Resolution's got an Ogre Club on top of that Blink Dagger, an absurd amount of farm. And I didn't even realize it, but you're right. Yoki's actually level 11 right now.
Yeah, I was just looking at the level difference between the two. AUI's dead. Deader than a doornail. Resolution, yet another Elder Dragon form. They can't really take tier 2 in middle, but maybe they can get a couple shots off.
Yeah, they don't have to all-in commit for pushes or anything like that, because even when it comes to the late game, because Yoki decided to go for this Midas so early, and it's paid off so many times, it's just, he's picking up such a level advantage over everybody on EG, and nobody from EG can really go for the split push because of this Blink Dagger pickup by Resolution. It's just too dangerous to get opened up on.
So the tower will be brought down. Oh, it's dropping below half HP here, and the rest of Empire are backing up Resolution, so even as Evil Geniuses start mounting response, Dragon Form's going to run out soon. I'm sure Empire are going to back up.
I think they can still hit this a few more times and maybe even commit for this because they're still probably going to feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, Universe goes for Silent. Resolution actually tried to blink inside, but doesn't quite make it. Eul Scepter from Silent keeps him alive a little bit longer. They do also have the defensive sleep. Nice Light Strike Array as he dies. He will be able to get the stun onto Universe, which ensures the kill. PPD actually got off his Echo Slam, but immediately Fiend's gripped up here. Blinked forward to try and get more kills, but he just ends up going down as well. Nobody really drops in. Resolution's now caught Sumail. Sumail, though, has enough mana to be able to get away. In fact, if anything, may even think about turning onto Resolution. He actually has 4 stacks of Shadow Poison. Bye-bye. Fear comes back in. Empire, being too aggressive, go from not losing anybody really for that fight to dropping 3 more hero kills. All they lost was initially the Lina.
That looks so good initially for them. And the weird thing is that PPD just kind of walked in, waltzed right in, hit a huge Echo Slam on all of them.
And that still didn't make a difference. Like, Empire still could have won the fight and walked away at that point.
Yeah, and I think that they were trying to overcommit a little bit too hard, but if you're taking a look at the net worth, even that doesn't impact it too much.
No.
The Storm Spirit, who you expect to be ahead of the Lina, has just barely caught up to her. Even with the buyback from Fear, it doesn't make a big enough difference where it matters. I guess that it was a really good buyback, though. They got most of the heroes. The experience angle alone probably made that worth it. But still, I mean, EG just not being able to mount a full defense. And Empire have plenty of items that they can go that would completely shift this game. Like, once Resolution gets a BKB, what can they really do on their supports? The same thing, I guess, exists of Yoki, who has 2.1k gold and managed to make it out of there without losing his life. And so things are going to be a little bit brutal for them once these things start to add up.
Ace Drune and a 2-man smoke. They've got the Fiend's Grip coming up in 4 seconds as well, so they find the right heroes. Quick blink away thanks to this ward right here. Laning phase ward is placed by Empire at the same time. There's an SMY for our Bloodseeker. The start of his mid-game builds is BKB his next item.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to get a BKB. That last fight demonstrated that because you don't want the clockwork to just lock you in and get his blade mail off. That's what the great thing about blade mail is that it forces you to get the BKB sooner than you would like.
Right. Resolution. He's level 11 Dragon Knight. Level 2 Dragon Form will start doing its work on these tier 2 towers. Evil Geniuses will make a trade-off, though. They'll take the tier 1 bottom at least. Obviously, it's not an even trade, but it's the only thing the EG can get when they're behind like this.
Yeah, you're perfectly okay with this. When you're behind, any sort of trade such as this is okay, but everybody from... They're not even going to get a trade out of this.
Yoku Universe? He actually missed his hook shot. Missed that.
He's actually just going to run a universe, but unable to find anything.
Resolution still has that haste rune. He's going to run down PPD here. Aloha Dance has a tombstone as well if they want to drop that one and force the fight right outside of the enemy base. Resolution kind of trapped here. Oh dear, that's
he's
just
completely
an excellent
stuck.
Fisher. There goes the tombstone, able to block out some of those trees and probably keeps Evil Geniuses at bay.
And Resolution actually gets most of the abilities used on him. They know that almost all the ultimates are down now. Maybe they go look for a fight. The Sonic Wave is actually a pretty significant one for EG to be able to fight. It's their main reliable AoE nuke. Yes, you can kind of rely on PPD, but how many times is Empire going to actually just let him walk into the middle of 4 of them like that again after it happens the first time? So now without the Sonic Wave, I actually don't think it's possible for EG to look for a fight. They don't have a Blade Mail on their clockwork. There's not a whole lot they can do to stop Yoki, much less the Dragon Knight. So I think they actually give this up. And PPD has to be careful because he has no idea that Resolution has this Blink Dagger, or this Invis. And Resolution
Jesus,
so
he just dove in deep, but they have the long-range capabilities, I guess, to be able to kill PPD. So that was actually quite well played. And now that tier 2 tower's taken out. Another 15 seconds. Well, maybe he can still find this kill. Doesn't look like the rest of the team's backing themselves up. Lena's been maybe caught. TP out. Okay, he's good. Empire, I would say, very clean fight for them.
That was so close for them losing that fight, but I think they overcommitted for the Dragon Knight, thinking they could have a repeat performance of what happened mid, but this time around, he gets his BKB off. Universe immediately overcommitted and died for that, but he had to, and then the important thing for once is that Silent was there dealing damage. In the previous fights, he was way too far back or he just wasn't in position to deal any damage, but this time, just immediately kills Fear using that ultimate, and you gotta respect the Lina still.
They forced a lot of buybacks there. That was the Queen of Pain as well as the Clockwork, both buying back.
They didn't get anything out of it either.
No. That Lincoln's is coming in for Samael, so he's going to be able to jump really aggressively into Empire.
He won't have buyback, though, if he decides to go for this, and Empire's going to hit a really good timing where their Dragon Knight has a DD rune, his BKB is back up, he's got the level 3 Elder Dragon form. I think this is their
They really
kind of
want
cue.
Roche, yeah.
You wait for it? I think you do. There's no...
Yeah, I mean, they know it's got to be so close to coming up.
Oh no, I always want to fly. Just pop in there.
Just peek your head. You know it's within the next minute. 100%.
Okay, I think they just
But-
want to time it with the DD rune. I think they think
They
it's
can
more
see
important. EG know this push is coming, though. They scouted out the Roshan using the rocket. They should be in position for
They're
this.
going for the double evasion. See that?
Yeah.
So they've got both a Talisman as well as Solar Crest on Bloodseeker. Jumping on a side, they're going to try and pop him first. Jamail actually goes for a Resolution, who immediately pops his BKB in response to that aggression, and nothing really happens there. Sonic Wave goes out, but now the heals start coming in. PPD, Echo Slam now lands out of Silent, but he's still not enough to finish off any of these heroes. Silent still ready to go with his Laguna Blade, as Jamail and Fear both start running themselves away. The racks are exposed, and Empire will just content themselves with these buildings. And that seems to be it. Empire, one laner racks up. Start moving over to the middle lane. I mean, that was a lot blown. They have another Sonic Wave in 10 seconds. 30 seconds till the clock works back up.
The tower's so low, and they know that Sumail's just purchased his Lincoln Sphere, so he can't have
Jump in
buyback.
from Samael. He's got the Lincoln, so he's okay for the time being. Another good Sonic Wave actually hitting on 3. Silent. Missed the Light Strike Array. Aloha Dance pull back. There goes the Laguna Blade, plus the Dragon Tail on top. Samael actually does go down. Trying to get out. Aloha Dance heals himself up, turns around with a Decay, but finally does die. The gem stuck on the ground, but nobody actually wants to try and recover that one. It'll be given away to Evil Geniuses, but still they got Sumail, and they got the melee Rex in middle lane on top of that.
Yeah, being able to take the melee Rex, I mean, 2 sets of Rex gone. The range one is alive, but that's the lesser of the two. You don't really care if you take that because you'll get it in the next push anyways. EG, they're in a position right now where they couldn't afford to lose the mid-Rex on top of that. Like, if they could have somehow repelled Empire and maybe held on and Sumail doesn't die there, the comeback potential is still alive. But this just means if they mess up one time, the game is over. Like, Fear has bought out. Sumail won't have buyback. Whatever the next fight they decide to take will probably determine the game. I think they want to just go for a YOLO smoke, hope that it goes well, and if it doesn't, then that's the game. But don't just sit in your base and let what just happened happen.
And don't let Empire determine the tempo of this game any further. You gotta go out on your terms. Butterfly is now complete for the Bloodseeker. So you've got the 30% evasion from Solar Crest, 35% from Butterfly. EG. There's that smoke. Sumail reveals himself. Couple of pings go out. They know that was a smoke. They're going to jump in now. Universe on an illusion. Oh, dear. In the background, Fear actually trying to go on Aloha Dance, and that's not enough. Big Light Strike right there. Actually able to pop AUI immediately. Now going for Universe as well. The damage, not quite there until Laguna Blade finishes him off. Now the Yule Scepter onto Sumail to get the Light Strike array. Dragon Tail once again. Sumail, ball lightning away. He gets some distance. Will be able to get out. PPD throws out an ankle slam, but it's over. EG call it, and Empire finally get a win, a big one against EG to even out this series 1-1, kind of keeping their hopes alive.
It wasn't the prettiest, but Empire got the job done.
They do.
This was a lead where they finally kind of secured stuff. It wasn't a blown one. They played solid with 1 or 2 hiccups. So I think this is going to do a good job of bolstering their confidence. And EG, I mean, I think they've won the game 1 a lot of the times and then faltered in game 2. And this is not the type of performance we expected from them.
This has got to be a confidence booster for Empire going into the next day. Of course, that is the end for the night. We're going to pass it off to our analyst to analyze this last game. We hope you guys join us tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Cap, and of course, Blitz. And yeah, what an ending. I mean, as we were talking about, Empire really needed that. They swapped some things up. It is definitely the end of the day. Swap some things up. I can speak English. And they force themselves to push. They make it happen. Take that win. It's only 1 point, but it's a very valuable point.